So you might be interested to get one copy of this?
Yes, Danny just mentioned it.
One copy of this? One copy of this?
Has Wanda niemand seen this?
Huh? Questo è il cluster di 4 progetti.
Grazie.
Prego. And I would ask
Siccome gli ho sempre detto
Okay, for those that was not present in the first section, we just asked to sign the list of participants.
basta uno.
And where is the presentation?
The list of
You
around.
need to meet the lady from Slovenian interoperability platform. Sure. If I find you both, I'll introduce you.
Ma ne hai portati in quantità, insomma. Portati in italiano però.
No, questo sono tanto in inglese.
No, questi sono in italiano.
Va bene, mi ha dato il come sbagliato.
Sono stato alcuni in italiano, questi sono in italiano. Gli altri
If somebody gets the brochure in Italian, there is also in English. Okay, welcome to this second section of the workshop that is we just summarize something for those not present in the first section. This is a clustering workshop of 4 projects, EM+, Life Imagine, Geosmart City and LeanVit. All together are a common goal to provide service for eENVironmental service for advanced application with a number of pilots, and including capacity building with training for INSPIRE and SEIS. So here we can see how the cluster works. At first, the EM Plus project that has been presented in the first section is going to create an open infrastructure with a demonstration of the operativity of this infrastructure with 10 pilots in different environmental domains. And then we have already in plan and operational to sorry, I forgot microphone for the registration. And then two projects, one life project and one ICT PSP project dealing with different scenarios are already going to use this infrastructure that we will going to present, the Life Imagine and Geosmart City project. Altogether, we have to consider that the overall picture need training, need skill, and so we have also started a Leonardo da Vinci project that will support training and capacity building for INSPIRE. And that is horizontal to all the projects, of course. The agenda, after the section of EM Plus, we have right now 3 sections, one related to each of the project, Life Imagine, Geosmart City, and L'Invit. The Life Imagine has two mainstreams, two scenarios, landslide in coastal zone and soil consumption in coastal zone. The Geosmart City section deal with the green energy scenario and the underground scenario that you will learn about that. And finally, we will see about training business process in INSPIRE from Danny Vandenbroek and the training framework, how it operates. And then we have a discussion in conclusion. Just 2 keywords for those not present in the first section. The key objective of EM Plus is to create an open infrastructure to support INSPIRE and SEIS implementation according to implementing an interoperability stack coming from data, semantic, service, and system of systems. Interoperability, looking at the European policies like PSI, the INSPIRE Digital Agenda, and so on, SEIS, and looking with standards and based on the result of previous projects. As Carmelo mentioned in his last slides, the EM Plus infrastructure creates a sort of service infrastructure that different scenarios application are using. This is very it's scalable, and then it's very flexible. Whenever we have a new pilot application, we can have a new pilot, then we'll match with could need some service, and maybe need a new service to be created for running. And this schema has been already implemented for Geosmart City and the Life Imagine, as we are going to present. So, as first section, we have the Life Imagine section. Just a short outline of this section, of this project. Life Imagine stands for Integrated Coastal Area Management Application implementing GMS, Copernicus, Inspire and SEIS data policies. The project started just last year, in the beginning of July, and will last for 3 years. It was submitted under the Life Plus call of 2012, and the strand, you know that life have different strands. This is related to environment, policy, and governance strand. In particular, the objective 12 strategic approaches. The partner, it was, you can see here, Italian partner, because there's been some life works through the national life brand, so the national part. And then we, apart the GZIG, that is the coordinator, we have ISPRA, that is the well-known institution that deal with Inspire, SEIS, the environmental agency from Italy, Regione Toscana, Consorzio Lamma, Epsilon Italia, and the Fondazione Grafitec. This is made with two different pilot in two different regions, Regione Toscana, and then we have also the support of Regione Liguria for that. Has just some outlines. Life Imagine deal with the integrated management of coastal zone and with the enforcement of knowledge based on environmental analysis. Life Imagine provide add-ons information to support coastal planning, decision making, and reporting to do different scenarios, as I mentioned before, soil consumption and landslides in coastal zone. Then the main of that, the main topics of this project is that to support these two scenarios with the approach using Inspire, and then to have harmonized data that are able to allow better decision to the stakeholder that have to deal with these two important environmental topics specific of coastal area instead. So we will see the context, environmental policies, and the integrated coastal zone management, Inspire, SEIS, GMS, Copernicus, environmental issues in coastal zone, planning, monitoring, and reporting. These are the keywords of this project, indeed. And of course, we have to consider at the end environmental and social impact, the benefit, because life then is stress a lot the part of the environmental, social, economic impacts about that. About the general objectives, we have more or less already speak about that, but anyway, it's easy and all the information to support environmental coastal management policies, harmonized, spatial, heterogeneous, and multi-source information. As coastal area, there is many sources of information, and then standardize operational workshop to connected to the environmental directives that are related to coastal zone. Stop cross-regional monitoring model, and of course increase the social awareness for that. This is more or less the schema. We have data coming from different sources, local, Inspire data teams, Copernicus, weather. So we are going to have this life imaging infrastructure that is based on the existing web service coming from EM Plus that implement more service, as I presented in the last slide of the introduction, web processing service related to the two scenarios in sense. That means about the two scenarios, the pilot two for region for each scenarios about landslides and soil consumption, and the output of that will be thematic maps, indicator for planning, communication, and reporting. The target user, you can imagine, are quite wide. We have regional authorities, municipality and province, civil protection, environmental regional authorities, river basin authorities, because that is also important, national environmental agency, park authorities, and then NGO association and citizens, because a lot of people who live on coastal zone, on coastal area, and so this project, of course, could have an important impact on this area. So you can imagine. I don't know if you know Liguria region and the Toscana coastal region. The coast are very, very. Soil consumption is a big problem, and also landslides. So. But my colleague will present the problems and the expected solution about that. So we have the two presentations, one from Carlo and one from Manuela from Regione Consorzio Lama.
Okay.
A quick question, Giorgio. Will the results of the project be designed to be disseminated in other countries, or is it really an Italian activity?
Italian activity. Most of the target is to you create something that is possible to replicate in a similar area or similar zone in another region.
But in Europe or
in
Italy?
For the first instance in Italy, this is a part of the activities managed by environmental minister, so it's one of the targets. But anyway, if you find something, maybe.
It's because this is his role, because it's a national, but we plan to have dissemination also in other countries, of course, that are interested.
Okay, now we're presenting the part of a landslide coastal zone pilot. We're starting from a workflow, but this is not important at the end of the pilot, because we designed to using piece of data that is also available through the region, or like susceptibility map or something about value of exposition part. So really the pilot mainly is based to try a workflow to apply to approach the problem and find some environmental and socio-economic impact. So one of the main results of the pilot is identify impact for environmental and for socio-economic aspect. Using not spend so much which is behind, because the infrastructure is the eENVironmental infrastructure that's presented in the previous workshop. We have two area where we are applied the landslide pilot. One is in the southern part of Liguria region, and one is in the northern part of the Tuscany region, so more or less is the continuous part. This is an area very, very prone and very affected by a landslide every year, but in specific case, we concentrate in the on landslide event of 2011 that is very specific and huge event in terms of rainfall and in terms of occurrence of a landslide. The two parts is one, the Tuscany part is more larger, is covered 31 municipality of northern Tuscany, is involved two main river basin, and more or less cover 1,380 square kilometers. So it's wider than not the second area, because in this case Lama and Tuscany region is directly involved, so I have more effort and more information to apply this one. The second area is related to Liguria, is just related to two specific municipalities, and all the river basin that is covered by these two municipalities is around 20 small river basin that is affected by landslide in 2011. Their area is more or less around 70 square kilometers, so it's very small comparable to the other one. But the specific effect is very dangerous because in some cases we have landslide and flash flooding combining, also in some cases due to the soil consumption or soil sealing, and produce a huge quantity of material that's covering the urban area of Monterosso and Vernazza, that is the two common municipality that's covered by these events. We have for example, a survey, a field trip 3 months ago, where we can find the beach, but this beach is not existing before 2011. This is formed by the event. To analyze this, we have, before analyzing a lot of data that is possible, is available in both the region. So we have hydrographic district, networks, geological map, of course, because it's one of the main basic elements for landslide analysis. And we have the landslide inventory for several time series, and then the digital elevation, the LIDAR, pre and post events. So we have a lot of data. In special case, we decide to using the susceptibility map developed by the hydrographic authority. This is because our pilot is independent to the methodology to defining hazard. We want to just apply something and not considering the scientific approach, because LIFE is not a scientific research program. It's just technical apply program. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of information about landslide. We have a national database that covers all the Italy, but we have also some specific database in relation of specific events. And also we have, especially in Tuscany region, we have a lot of information about meteorological data, hourly rain, cumulative daily rain, and yearly average rain, probability map. So we have a lot to put in place to have a good analysis about which is the specific events, and try to analyzing the scenario of this event and what happened on the specific area of 2 or more municipalities in case of Tuscany. So we have the landslide and the landslide of an event, and we have also some expressed element like building, infrastructure, agricultural terrace. Especially in Liguria, we have a specific situation where we have a very cliff and steepness orographic situation. So most of the agriculture is realizing using terrace. So this is one of the elements that is affected by landslide when occurs. And so our idea is to cross the specific scenario of a landslide with specific element exposed. We not consider a specific evaluation of vulnerability. We put the vulnerability as a maximum vulnerability, and then evaluate how this impact on the element. We decide to realize some uses case. In particular, we defining a uses case of a landslide relate to the agricultural terrace and heritage, cultural heritage. And then another uses cases relate to the impact of landslide on the infrastructure and population density. And the population density, what we want try to do in this pilot, also because in the last day we have a discussion with the cadastral. We have the 3D building information and the destination of a building, so we can try to simulate a very point situation, what's happened in economical view. So we have also analyzing a series of potential impact, environment impact or impact of the landslide. So in the pilot we have to take in account also a series of impacts like percentage or area of damage, number of casualty, or how many line of infrastructure will be destroyed or interrupted. And one of the pilot simulation is, for example, in correlation of infrastructure, is to simulate if arrive a landslide that block or close a specific transport network, which is the best solution to arrive to save the people. So it's also important concerning the civil protection action or management of events. So we try to simulate some network analysis inside the pilot. And so also the other impacts is related to agriculture. So how many line of terrace will be destroyed by the landslide? So how many the municipality have to, or region have to spend to rebuild this activity? This is one of a specifically tourist element of the Cinque Terre area. So we have defining three scenario. Another one is coming from some stakeholders that require a specific scenario or uses case to analyzing how to improve the knowledge, the awareness of landslide effect on the landscape, especially with the citizen. So it's more oriented on the communication part of a landslide. And to do that, we have elaborate more or less a diagram where is the user, where is the actor to manage all the piece of the work process. Comparable to the previous project, the eENV+, we are late because starting 6 months later. So we finish probably in the next month to defining the use case and the user requirements. So probably we able to have a clear vision of the pilot maybe at the beginning of the next years or at the end of these years, more or less. This is all. Questions?
Okay. So we see now the second scenario that will be presented. From
Yes. Oh. Here? No,
okay.
Second section. No, it's the first section. Ok. Come presento? È un...
Ah sì, perché è un PDF.
Un PDF. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Manuela Coronjo from Consorzio Lamma. Consorzio Lamma is a public consortium between Tuscany Region Administration and the National Council of Research in Italy. And today I explain something about soil consumption in coastal zone that is a pilot within the Life Plus Imaging project. In the last 60 years in Italy, the urbanization process has been characterized by an important soil consumption of our territory. And this, for instance, is the representation of the soil consumption phenomena in Italy. Is a manifesto of the Tuscany region against the soil consumption, and picture the soil consumption as a huge insect eating green spaces and ejecting buildings and urban areas. For that reason, and in that context, we have the need to quantify and analyze the real phenomena over the year. And so the soil consumption within this pilot take into account the context of the soil consumption in Italy, and will be addressed to identify the indices and the indicator that define the situation about soil consumption, and using as a help to make decision at planning services. At national level, as we can see, there are an increase, continuously increase of the soil consumption starting from the 50s until now. And along coastal zone, this phenomena is more evident because of the tourism. And the soil consumption decreases with when we go inland, so with the distance from the coast. This is the flow activity reviewed by the soil consumption scenario, and so we can see that there are two kinds of sources of data. The first one came from Copernicus land monitoring services, and so are carry out, take into account a pan-European project addressed to statistical task. And the second source is carried out by considering local and in situ data that in Italy are made up by at regional level above all, because the land cover and land use at larger scale is a key and a main map produced by the region at regional level. So these two kinds of the sources are combined and harmonized within infrastructure that compare two different sources of data with their sources and different level of detail, and then make evident through the data analysis the indicators that evaluate and quantify soil consumption phenomena. As a result, we have the first one is the environmental reporting. So we have a system that make evident these indices and indicators in environmental scenario. And at the same time, there is a dissemination system that make possible to assess this information and locate that phenomena along territories. Starting from input data, we are going to put together an inventory that of the input layer that are also in the first phase compared with the correspondent layer teams of INSPIRE. And also, even if the harmonization process is a phase that is important for the task and the final results, we can analyze directly for the input data what is the correspondence between input layer and thematic team team of INSPIRE. we take into account two different areas, and the first one is within Liguria region, and is named Tigullio, and the second one is Versilia area in Tuscany region. About local and in situ data, we consider as a basis the lane cover map within the region. Is a map based on the Corinne lane cover for the third level, and adding a fourth level for the regional context. In this case, the detail is related to 1 to 10,000 scale, and we have different kind of the fourth level for the Liguria and the Toscana area. In order to evaluate the change during time, over the time, we take into account the change matrix of lane cover, putting by row the hectares of each classes of the Corinne lane cover, and by row the previous coverage of the same classes. And so we have that along the diagonal there is no change, and below and above there are change between an year and another. This change is formalized using lane cover change flows made by Corinne lane cover, where there is 9 classes of flows that characterize flows, and we combine 50 classes at all. As an example of the indices and indicator that make the evaluation of the consumption, soil consumption, it is possible to consider the imperviousness, and so calculate the special indicator such as a percentage in the built-up areas within a municipality, and so on. That's it's all. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Manuela. I know if there is just one question on the project. We pass it to the second one, Josma City. Thanks, Manuel. Just a second. This is for you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go now in the Josma City section. Josma City is an ICT PSP project that just started in March for that expected duration is 3 years. Its main topics is, okay, you can see from the title, open geodata for innovative service and user application towards smart cities. So, the scope of Josma City is to implement a platform to share public geographic open data, like the municipality data, coming from different sources such as public administration, multi-utility companies, cities, and the crowdsourcing. The platform includes specialized web service that we can see from EN plus, in this case, further service that integrate public geographical data with other georeference data that could be private or private, even some not open, because there is, in particular for the example in the underground, there is some data that are sensitive, and so in some cases are not public available, but in any way as should be share for a good management of the underground, for example, that are useful for smart management of urban infrastructure and public service. We are speaking about smart city, we are speaking about the digital agenda for Europe, and in some way it's include also one of the aims, and we will see in the green energy, to support the implementation of the Covenant of Mayors. About the partnership, we have several partners from municipality and for the pilot, for example, Comune di Genova, Reggio Emilia, from Girona in Finland, and so on. We have some technical partner, and Iran, Synergis, Intergraph, Epsilon Italia, Tabacco Catastrales, and the others partners that we will participate to create all this infrastructure. The objective is to support cities with to open their data, because that is a major point, that open data, but they have to learn how to work about that, to professionals and citizens, establish a platform usable, able to publish open data in urban contexts, but it also with European dimension, because we are speaking about being inspire compliant, and so on. So standards, provision of tool and facility to integrate data with open data, and the framework and service to integrate proprietary restricted data with data of the city. The aims, in particular, of this project is that opening the data of the city and integrate with other data is possible to create a new business model for the public administration and the small and medium-sized enterprise, to foster public-private partnership for collaborative management of open geographical data, and integration of received data in a secure way, so that is not is effective from the point of view of the application, but anyway it's and make a benefit for the city, but in some way with secure way. If we look at the smart cities, there is a different context. We can see green building, land global interconnected, the productivity, the green urban planning, and so there is a number of applications that we can see in the smart city, with transportation and so on. We are considering two scenarios that impact indeed with green building, green energy, green urban planning, enable supply and demand, side policy, transparent and open data, ICT, and the government. And we addressed green energy with 5 pilot cases, and underground with 6 pilot cases. These are where the pilots are located. In Finland, in Czech Republic, in Poland, in Italy, in Greece, in Spain, in Portugal, and in Belgium with the Flanders region. About the green energy scenarios that will be presented by Pier Giorgio, we have 5 pilot cases, and this is to provide the public administration with instrument for the definition of management of the smart energy policy, support the process of energy transition from traditional to renewable, and to provide the needed knowledge, demonstrate the importance of data integration, and in some ways that the keyword here is to support the implementation of the Covenant of Mayors. So, but Pier Giorgio will say something about that. The underground scenarios, you can imagine how much is complex the underground of the city. The objective is to favor also to the standard of using of data, standardization of data, the use of Inspire data model and so on to foster the collaboration between different stakeholders of the underground, the municipality on one side, the utility on the other side, but there is other complex data like risk zone that are anyway connected to the underground. And so in some way this pilot wished to support the integrated management of the underground in the city. And Maria will present the scenario just now. Okay, so starting from Pier Giorgio with the green energy, and Maria will also have a presentation during the underground, Inspire Underground section on Friday.
Thanks. Okay, here we are. The first scenario of the Geosmart City project is the so-called green energy scenario. My name is Pier Giorgio Cipriano, and I'm working for a private company called Synergis in Italy. Before talking about the scenario itself, I just put this old man that is not my grandfather, as I already said in the kickoff meeting. It is William Thomson, also known as Lord Kelvin, and this is a very famous quotation. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So we need to measure first the energy consumption, the energy performance, the energy need before talking about how to improve. Green energy means, first of all, big numbers, big in terms of numbers like this. In Europe, so focusing just on European countries, in Europe we are more or less 500 million people, so representing the 7% of the worldwide population, but we consume the almost 1/5 of the energy consumed worldwide. And this is an interesting workflow, the energy flow expressed in megatons of equivalent of oil equivalent, and from the net imports to the final energy consumption for transportation, households, and so on. Interesting predictions by the environmental, the EIA, the US agency. In 2020, the European consumption of energy will be something like this number, 25 trillion of kilowatt hours. In terms of energy consumption, we already know that the buildings represent around the 40% of the consumption. So that's why we are in this Geosmart City green energy scenario. We have got some pilots focusing on buildings. In the European Union, buildings in terms of gross floor space represent an area that can be equivalent to the Belgium. So there are something like 30,000 square kilometers of gross floor space, and the 70% of this gross floor space is residential. And not surprisingly, also in terms of energy consumption, households represent the bigger slice of the cake. In fact, European households a few years ago were responsible for something like 78% of the total final energy used for heating, mainly for heating, cooling, for producing hot domestic water, for cooking, and for having appliances working. So our goal in the Geosmart City project is, this one, no, it's a joke. No, is to implement an open data hub, mainly based on SICAN solution. SECAN is probably the most used open data portal solution, so a technical solution for providing open data. Also, the European Commission is using a SECAN solution. But connecting SECAN to Inspire download services. So to connect SECAN to WFS Inspire compliance services, provided by five pilot cities that are here listed: Reggio Emilia in Italy, Girona in Spain, Morus in Greece, Oeiras in Portugal, and Turku, not Turkey, sorry, my mistake, in Finland. Data will mainly regard buildings, as I told you before. But which kind of buildings? One of the first focus is about municipal buildings, but also, of course, residential buildings. There are some pilots also focusing on transportation, so we need to collect, analyze, and also provide open data about road transportation, as well as public lights, because these three main categories, all of them represent some CO2 emission source. These are the emission sources also listed in many Covenant of Mayors documents and papers. In fact, all the five pilot cities are signatories already, have already signed the Covenant of Mayors, and they need to monitor constantly the CO2 emission sources, because they have to respect every 2 years, have to provide every 2 years a report containing information about how they are reducing CO2 emission from these sources, but also they have to provide useful information to stakeholders. I put here a URL where you may find an online survey. I also printed some copies on a paper version. I can give you. This is a gift for you.
I'll start filling it in.
Yeah, and it is about one of the topics addressed by the green energy scenario related to the need for energy density mapping, so maps that represent the energy solution at urban scale. So this is a final picture just to highlight one of the first sketch of the architectural solution. As I told before, SECAN is one of the pillar, and another one is GetLoad, that is a solution implemented in Emilia-Romagna region for connecting SECAN to WFS services. And another goal is to, starting from this, so thinking of also of data modeling, so not just providing data as they are, but harmonized data. And one goal could be, starting from here, usually buildings are represented like these simple bricks, these simple blocks that are the level of detail number 1 in the CTGML model. But we would like to extend the Inspire data specification with additional properties, with optional elements, considering the need coming from different pilots in terms of energy properties related to buildings. In doing so, we already started to interact with other groups, so with other people in Europe, talking about possible modeling, building data models for energy solutions. One of these groups is the University of Stuttgart. They just started a project, an activity for having in 1 year a CTGML application domain extension specific for buildings with energy properties. So summarizing, we would like to open harmonized data about energy, but of course we are conscious that worldwide the problems of the energy are much bigger than open data. This is just for joke. Sorry, Giorgio, you already seen this. This is an interesting documentary, an Indian one.
भैया जल्दी से बंद कर लो, यहाँ आग लग गई है। ट्रांसफार्मर बंद हुआ, लोहा सिंह चालू। हमारे पर हुनर है, इतने भयंकर कटिया आवाज है, कोई इलाके में नहीं। कटिया ऐसी डाल देंगे, शायद इतना बड़ा आंधी आ जाए, तूफान आ जाए, कटिया मेरी हिल नहीं सकती है। तो ये पूरी मार्केट जानती है, उसी की मेहरबानी है जो ये सब काम हो रहा है। लोहा का मतलब आप जानते हैं, ये बहुत सॉलिड आदमी है, जैसे लोहा होता है।
कहाँ कटिया लगी है, सब आपको जानकारी होनी चाहिए, नहीं है तो ले लीजिए। मैं सभी के खिलाफ एक्शन
करंट नहीं चलती तो ये साले क्या करें, इनको उठा के हम सोलना है, टेंशन में काट दो।
चोर व्यक्ति नहीं, उसको भी साले चोर बनाते हैं बिजली वाले।
ठीक से दोगे, दिमाग ठीक कर दूंगा।
Everyone today wants to have electricity, but they all think that yes, it should be provided to us free of cost because we are poor.
Thank you.
So, merci.
Yeah, wired city.
Wired city.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's your thinking about how you're going to be able to share restricted, the open data bit's nice and I look forward to hearing how you do with that, but clearly the restricted services and also it applies with underground things as well. What's your idea there?
I think that both scenarios have got a big challenge because both of them are facing to involve the usage of data coming not from public administrations but private big utilities. And I don't know. I don't know. At the moment, I don't know, but I
do you want to start conversations with these companies
to
show something of a benefit of a smart city?
We already started first conversations because one of them is also involved. eEN, that Giorgio mentioned before, is a private company, a private utility company. So we do hope that through eEN we could possibly also make some influence towards other private companies.
The point that, so we have to, maybe we can anticipate a bit the discussion. The point is not just to looking just at the paradigm of open data, open data for what. So the point is, if you look at the open data, I speak now for the underground. Open data from the specific context of the underground is open data to the stakeholder involved in the management of the open data. Just as such, could have the people that work owning the data of the underground, the gas, the valves where to close the gas to the something that is not properly open to not specialized, not professional people, so that to say. So, but the fact to share at least the pipelines line and together with the other utility and the municipality, this now is the master, and the municipality is going to force this because you can imagine there are cases when somebody makes some excavator for repairing, I don't know, water, and then the gas explodes, and there is problem of security, and so that is really a big problem. And then the solution is to have, let me say, open data, but not in the sense of open to the world, but open to the applications.
I give you also another example refer to energy. Open data, but to whom? To the user. In the US, a couple of years ago, they started to provide through the Green Button initiative, that is also a standard, open data to user. So you as an owner of an apartment you are able to download on your mobile or through the web the consumption of your own apartment. So you have your own open data, open data of your own apartment.
Thanks.
In the case of the underground pilots, the example of the region of Navarre is based on this kind of relationship among the different companies, utility companies. We already have this experience, but are involved the municipality, the government, the group of companies dealing with some regions or some areas in the territory, and this is all of them share information, but they obtain some benefits. So they are just sharing their investment, just doing new underground pipes and things like that. So it seems that they have to see some return of their investment just to share all this information. But they are doing in a closed environment, but they are already doing. And this is something that, for example, could be replicated in Genoa, that they don't really have, but they would like to have, I suppose. So we have previous experience in the different pilots, and I think that one of the main outcomes will be if we are able to share in different environments.
So, Maria,
okay, I will use right now this one. Let's see, I'm going to put here. I'm just trying to be more practical. I'm putting over there, and I have my hands. Okay, so let me speak just a little bit about what means an underground scenario. This morning I tried to explain to someone I'm going to talk about underground scenario, and this person asked me, and what's that? So those are these kind of pipelines, water distribution on the underground surface, but it's also some sewage station on the underground. There are also some manhole covers on the street just to go down, and are well, you can see here distribution also of some water, and definitely all that is on the underground of a city. This is what we are trying to talk about. But what happens in the underground? As you have already known by Pier Giorgio, in green energy scenario, we have some European directives that are dealing with these issues, but not really with the underground scenario. So in the underground, we are talking about different infrastructures on the same area. We are talking about information that is not really connected, but needs to be connected for the better management. So we are talking about efficiency when we are trying to maintain all these infrastructures, the impact on the environment, and this is urban environment mainly, but you can imagine when someone is trying, yes, it's here. When someone is trying to open the street, as Giorgio mentioned, the users know, the citizens in general should know that your street is going to be open for a period, and during this period, probably other several companies, utility companies, could benefit of this opening of the street and can share all their investment just to put together at the same time, and it's not necessary to open today, close tomorrow, and after tomorrow open again the same street just for including a new pipe or something like that. So this is the main idea. And of course, safety of security has been already mentioned also. Those areas that in some moment could be exposed to a flooding in the area, and it's necessary to know and try to manage in the better way how to proceed when this could happen. So you can imagine that this is really a difficult perspective that we are facing now, because the pilots are not completely, but in general are different, and for this management we can see that it's a key aspect for the cities. So the specialized services are still under evaluation. We are now trying to complete some use cases. We already have some of them for this underground scenario, but we still need to go more in depth, because we think that we also can benefit one from each other. And probably so it's not closed yet, but we are thinking about different use cases, and some of them can be combined just to provide those more standardized services. And we are also using those previous experience I mentioned before as lesson learned, and just trying to implement probably in some other cities and benefit also from this experience we already have implemented. In this scenario, we have 6 pilots, one in Genoa, Italy, in Oeiras, Portugal, in South Moravian region in Czech Republic, in Poland, in the region of Ruda-Śląska, in Flanders region in Belgium, and finally in the Comarca de Pamplona will be in Spanish. This is a mix. We could say county of Pamplona, and I will go a little bit more in detail today with the South Moravian region, because we also have some explanation on the technological issues, and also for the Comarca de Pamplona, just like a first approach, because I will be more in detail during my presentation on Friday. So South Moravian region, you can see, is where it's located in the southwest of Czech Republic. Here you have some figures of the region, and is the second largest city, Bern, in the region, so it's a very important and industrial area. On the underground scenario, they try to use mobile service to activate some service that could help to work in the field. They are based on 2 main perspectives. One, on the voluntary geographical information that will be mainly focused on the citizen just participating with public administration communication, and on the restricted geographical information that allows them to modify existing data. So can be some way more open solution and closer solution that allows to modify this kind of information. For this purpose, they are also trying to use and to provide to the project 2 different clients. One of them is a mobile client in which citizens can receive some alerts or can send some information, and then this will be proceed through a flow that allows to know how is solved this alert and what's happening with them, and the solutions that could be provided by the administration. In the other, that is more a desktop solution, this is a portal in which all the different information, alerts or incidents that has been sent by the voluntary people can be found and can be followed, and you can see which is the answer or the solutions they are providing and so on. And for the modification or updating of the new data, the idea is to focus on the mobile client. They already have some developments regarding both clients, and in this sense, well, is a solution that allows you to edit geometries, to edit attributes, and you can be doing all this through your mobile, maybe your mobile phone or your tablet. Regarding the second pilot I'm going to present of the County of Pamplona, just to explain that this is a federation of local councils. This is like a very small public company in which all several municipalities are collaborating, and this federation is managing the water, the waste, urban transport, taxi service, and also the river park that is in the area. The aim of the pilot at this time is just to integrate real-time data. This federation already are managing geographical information, they are providing their own data, and part of this data is already included in the regional SDI, so they are really collaborating and sharing this information. And they also are taking part on the other project I mentioned with other utility companies in more close scenario. So, but at this time they are trying to profit the GIS capabilities, just including the real-time data provided with some sensor systems, and they are trying to integrate with these other underground utilities just to show, and this could be a good outcome of the project, the benefits of data interoperability. So this will be the basic schema, so a solution based on desktop, mobile, web, integrating all the information that allowing the control and management all the data from these sensors. The specific data source, apart from those generic reference data information, are the water supply network and sewerage network. You can see there that are already public metadata. They are already on the SDI and are also under Open Data Creative Commons license 3.0, and are related to this inspired data theme from the Annex 3. The main issue is that they are not according to inspired data model, so it's one of the main challenge also of this project. And at the end, we also have to see how we are going to exploit these results and not stop just doing the things, but just trying to exploit. So for us, it will be the way to provide these market-ready solutions to any other clients interested in this complete water cycle management, and just the possibility to reinforce this market position with new data and reusing the existing data that is there and could be also including as open data. And I think that this is all from my side.
Thank you. I have a present for you as well.
No, I already have signed. I don't need.
Okay. So, as you see, this was the German
Let me
city.
see. I was very happy, yes, putting this here.
Okay.
Okay. Right. This is
And you can see that how it's challenging this type of project as well as Life Imagine. We have this project is going to, now you see that being focused on two important scenarios, but we have to consider that behind that there is data, and data means harmonized data in complex scenario like underground or green energy. And when we speak about harmonized data, we are speaking now about Inspire. So you can see how all is correlated, and for doing that we need skill, we need knowledge. So from our perspective as GZIG, we have since several years supported training in the geographical information related directive, not only Inspire but also other related directives, SEIS or Water Framework Directive and so on. And along this year we have created a sort of training framework that is growing up time to time, project to project, and just as that introduce our last section of this workshop, that is the project LINVIT, Leonardo da Vinci project. The project stands for Leveraging Inspire Knowledge into Vocational Innovative Training. And I presented in the first section this slide, but just for those that was not present in the first section, just a short summary. I mentioned this schema as the training framework that we are proposing in different European projects. We are considering learning as keywords. We are considering catalog of training courses with repository, organized repository of training models according to data harmonization, data specification, service provision that come from also result from previous European projects like Humboldt, NATO Plus, Briseid, NESIS, most recently SMESPIRE that was Inspire for small and medium-sized enterprises, and right now we are applying this schema for this free project, EM Plus, Life Imagine, and Geosmart City as well. The topics here is for each project to create a training package with learning path, as then Danny will introduce the concept according to different profile, and and then to create some modules that help for the know about how to work in a specific project, so background knowledge both from technical point of view and thematic area like underground in this case, or green energy, what means, and on the other side to provide the platform to transfer the result of the project in a training with a training approach. And this is according to this let me say schema, we have now promoted a project called LINVIT to update and leverage the Inspire training framework, so to making a synthesis of all these modules, update them, and then create a package that could be usable for public administration and not only. Just mention that LINVIT deal with digital competence as defined in Leonardo da Vinci terminology. Competence in this case in geoinformation, because they are crucial in European context to be operational in the sign, for example, in the SPY directive. Creating such competence through a set of training models that come from different European initiatives. Harmonize specific, as a specific objective, harmonize specific training material, creating learning paths, upgrade them, create an interoperability training infrastructure, and then establish a training framework for this project and provide training action in public administration for that. The partner here is Partnership ZIG, ISPRA, Epsilon, Salzburg University, Catholic University of Leuven, that Danny now will present the next presentation, and Novogit, Anders Osman, Professor Anders Osman, that is here. So, the target group here is employed people to be requalified on new competence required by Inspire, postgraduate for easy access to the labor market, and professional profile within public and private sector technicians and decision makers. We have created this training package according to context knowledge for Inspire, advanced technical modules, model addressed to two specific thematic stakeholders because coming from previous experience and then a technological trend, innovative solution, but maybe Danny will be more precise on that. We are just on 1/3 of the project after the analysis and the plan for the adaptation that Danny is going to present there. By the way, there is a poster if you are interested, and the leaflet here. Danny.
Okay, thank you, Giorgio. So I have a personal interest to go very quickly through my slides because in 35 minutes Belgium will play a match against Algeria. Well, there's a lot to say about this project. We have done already some work, but I will focus rather on how we tackled the curriculum development. So, and therefore this may be strange title, Inspire Business Processes. For us, that's the basis for defining learning paths. So that's why we tackle the curriculum development from there. So one of the major objectives of the project is to revise existing materials. As it was said, a lot has been created over the past few years, a lot of modules. I think in total we have a list of 20 or so. So the basic idea is to analyze existing available material and then to tune it to better match with the developments in Inspire, of course, technical developments at large, and also to target it to the specific needs of the Italian situation. So that's the first issue. Then there are, of course, some IPR issues related to this material. There's some discussions on that. We set up agreements for that, and we have concluded, I won't discuss it now, but we have concluded to follow an open approach so that it's available for, well, anyone throughout your learning platform. Finally, based on this analysis of this existing material, what we try to do is to create optimal learning paths related to specific, what we call profiles or duties related to Inspire. And therefore, we thought, or the question was, how can we start to analyze and revise this material? You can't just tackle all the material individually. So that's what we did not do. Usually you see in Inspire this diagram which is showing the architecture and the different components of Inspire. So you can organize Inspire modules around those modules pieces. That is done often and that's very valuable. But we said, okay, we might go and look more into Inspire as an implementation process. You have the overall implementation process, and then there is some logic sub-processes that you can detect. Like, for example, the green part is the so-called existing production processes of mapping agencies, for example. And then one of the duties is to go from there, from existing data sets to the data specification. You have to transform, then you have to validate, to test. It's another sub-process. You have to publish your data, so through services, you can organize a platform for that, deploying your services. And then users will access your platform to a geoportal to use it and so forth, and in order to bind it to in their own application, for example. And in fact, then you have another sub-process overlooking the implementation of these different sub-processes. So managing the process, but also monitoring that whole process. And also the pieces are, you can find it back in the architecture, but you can find it back also in the directive. And so we started from there rather, and we simplified the processes in 4 categories. So we grouped in one process as transforming data and metadata. The other process was creating and managing access mechanisms. Now, from the user perspective, access, bind, and use of spatial data through services, of course, and then the managing and reporting implementation. We did some similar exercise in SME Spy. It looked a little bit different. I think this is maybe more logic, as we see it also happening in different member states. And then we revised again the existing training material, and we came to the conclusion that most of the existing material is fitting quite well. And I think this picture also of this process is important for those that follow the training, to have the overall picture, where do I fit somehow and what is my interest. But also it's more interesting for providers of training material, to say so, to organize and structure modules. So that's the numbers is not so important, but we had, as I said, 20 modules, existing modules, and we tried to map them somehow in these different sub-processes. So we found that most of them mapped quite well, except maybe a few of them were rather linked to existing production processes of existing data production processes. So the next question was then how to go there from modules, training curricula packages. So what we said, okay, before defining learning paths, we should take into account this logic structuring and these business processes, which in turn are made up of several activities, of course, and work from a more generic level towards eventually a more detailed level if necessary. You can always split up a business process in sub-processes and in skills and knowledge that is needed for covering those. And also based on the definition of what someone should be able to know, or well, should know or should be able to do. And then, of course, the fourth step would be then that depending on the person you have in mind, because you can apply that to profiles, but in reality you have a real person with already existing skills and knowledge, then you have to tailor that, of course. So going back to these 4 processes, we said, okay, we will create also 4 logic profiles. And as I said, probably because we did it in the first exercise in SME-Spire, we discussed in the context of small and medium enterprise, there's a little bit more difficult, because usually there you have rather to group, because small medium enterprise there are not many people. Maybe in the public sector they have several people working on Inspire implementation and different specific components, so you can also split it up. So, but we have detected 4 job profiles, what we call an Inspire manager, Inspire data expert, Inspire service expert. And we said, okay, also a service consumer can be seen as a kind of profile, a generic user, let's say. So they are linked to the different processes, of course, and then from there we went back, and this is just 2 examples, because we have for each of the profiles, we have kind of optimal learning path. This is under discussion. We have proposed these, but there are several issues still open. For example, for an Inspire manager, we assume that there is no knowledge about Inspire, but usually maybe this person has already some knowledge. But then there is some different modules that fits into a logic order of following certain modules, starting, of course, from introduction on Inspire. A module that was not foreseen in the list, the original list, is on data and service sharing, so more on the policy, data policy aspect. But these modules exist somewhere, somehow. Then maybe more advanced aspects. For example, in this existing module, it's referring to activities such as EULF, integration with e-government, arena type of activities, all covered there. And then the practical use for a manager, at least, to know what is a portal and to know what is spatial data, metadata, and services. And then very important for a manager is rather more thematic approach. This example of the learning path is someone dealing more with nature conservation, so Natura 2000 management or so. And then you have, for example, a module on all the policies related to Natura 2000, and then specifically Natura 2000 and INSPIRE specifications. And there is somehow in these paths usually 3 dots, because you can add other thematic modules or other maybe in-depth modules for certain aspects. The other example is on the data experts, is a little bit more complex. Yes, maybe the figures you see is just the number of learning hours that is foreseen in the current modules as they exist. This is not necessarily the optimal, because for the introduction or the manager, you see the minimum path is 23 hours. For the data expert, it's 47 hours. But there is already a lot of discussion on that, because for example, data specification, if you really need someone that masters data transformation only, you need probably a lot more exercise, and that's of course not included. This is just the training, basic training of each module. But this example is going through another series of sequence. Of course, you assume person is not knowing anything about the INSPIRE, so he should have good skills on UML, XML, GML, for example. Then introduction to data specification is how is modeling done in the context of INSPIRE. Data harmonization is focusing more on the transformation, how is this process going, supported by examples on transformation, by another module on typical procedures for transformation. But you could add very, very specific modules if you want so. And then the next logical step is that this person also knows about data validation, what we have transformed, how can we test it, is it conforming to what INSPIRE is expected. This is just 2 examples of what we call these learning paths. We have, I think in the text there are 3 or 4, no there are 4, but just to give you an idea. So some conclusions. So in the context of LinkVid, we aim to provide the revised training material that from existing material to support INSPIRE implementation, not only in Italy, but it's useful also because it's e-learning material for other countries. We think it's very useful to start from the reasoning from the business process supporting this INSPIRE implementation. In order to cover the activities within these processes, you need indeed certain specific skills and knowledge. So therefore we define optimal job profiles or expert profiles for which then the learning parts are designed. But as I said during the presentation, you can regroup this and split this up according to the needs of the specific organization. And I think that's it. So now I can go to the football. No, I'm kidding.
Feels it. Okay, so we are going to the last presentation, and we will see what means then a training framework for us and how it works.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Giorgio. Okay, this will be the last presentation today. This will be a quick and painless presentation, very visual, with a lot of visuals trying to explain what is all this thing about training, because we were talking first about the objective of this project based on training. Now Danny has illustrated which are the topics addressed in this project and which are how is the information, the training organized in terms of who are we addressing, what are these specific learning paths, which is the relation with this training paths and these job profiles with the INSPIRE business processes. And now we will take a look about how all this thing looks like. We are here trying to, it's a LinkVid of course based presentation, but we will try to give an overall view of how LinkVid links with all the training content we are developing for all the clustering projects addressed this afternoon here. So first thing, let's try to summarize a little about the role of LinkVid. As was well explained, LinkVid is trying to analyze available training material
So we are dealing with material that is there, that sometimes is outdated and sometimes needs to be redone, of course, based on new updates, new technology and whatever. So the chain, it's the definition of this update, adaptation and harmonization of the existing material. Of course, some of this material also needs, as I said, need to be better tuned and addressed to specific contexts, like, for example, the national, in this terms, in Italy, for example, or sectoral needs for example, the kind of skills and training that a SME actor need to have in relation to Inspire. Of course, LinkBit also deals with the management of IPR issues. Of course, it's a project that deals with existing material coming from different existing projects. Other material is make it from scratch. So IPR issues, it's also an issue here. And as was well explained by Danny, the definition of these optimal learning paths based on the identification of our target groups. So just to wrap up a little visually what has been done this afternoon here, I really encourage you to visit all websites related to the project that were featured this afternoon, starting with LinkBit, of course, but also Just Smart City, Life Imagine, IM+. We can say that, as was clearly presented this afternoon, we have a cluster of 3 projects dealing with GI, the creation of platforms of services. Every project has had their own peculiarities, but they are rather the same approach in terms of management of GI. And then we have LinkBit, that it's basically a training-based project, as has been explained, that makes a link between 4, because the training is present in all projects, but the way to deal to the training is something coming basically from LinkBit. Okay. The training package, as has been also explained, is where we try to organize the training for each of the projects. Of course, LinkBit also has a training package, and you can visit and have it in the and have an overview of the modules that has been that are being developed or updated in LinkBit from the training package that is accessible from the project website. Of course, for other projects, like for example EM+, you have the opportunity to take a look to the training package, where you can find all the information necessary about the training offer in terms of having the list of modules available. Some of them are on the development, so you can see if are already available for you or not. Most important, it's the detailed information about these modules. We want here to organize in this package all the information related to the training modules. We call it metadata. That means that the user here can have all the information related to the module, as I said, and you will see it afterwards how more or less we structure it. The most important thing is that this information related to the module is structured the same way for all the projects of all the cluster. And then, of course, there the user have the opportunity to discover which is the learning path that fits much better to his or her own profile. Of course, one of the better things that we are trying to care a lot for all the training package is care about the usability of the whole thing. That means that the user need to find first that the project have a related training package, that the training package is related to information on the background, for example, but of course on the outcomes of the project, and then they need a button that leads to a place that they can follow the module. Not just usability in the sense that the user can arrive quickly and painless to the training module he wants to follow, but also in terms of openness. We don't want to hide anything. These all are European projects, and much of the outcomes in terms of technical outcomes are then expressed in terms of training. So we really want to open that platform in terms of making very, very accessible the results of the projects in terms of training modules to the users interested on the results of all these projects. Okay, this is an example of the metadata, of this common metadata for all this project. We have this module, Introduction to Inspire, and of course the information related to this module is expressed in this sheet of metadata. This is a good example because this module that comes from actually long time ago experience called BestaGIS, and now has been very good, well done and updated from Q11 in the context of another project. It's a module available for practically all the training packages for all the projects, because we really believe that this is a very good module on background knowledge, interesting for everyone visiting the packages for all these projects. We have other examples, of course, about metadata, and as you can see, all of them are structured the same way, also to permit, of course, the interoperability between these modules. We have a module coming from one project, but we want to use it in a package for another project, so we need to define the project, the module in the same way, to be interoperable between the different packages. Okay, let's just take a look about where to find all this information. The learning platform. GSIC has a kind of long experience on dealing with training material, and lately these months a project such as like SMESPIRE has been a good opportunity, and also of course BestaGIS, LinkBit, to update all our infrastructure hosting the training modules. Of course, we are here talking about a platform where the user can visit and follow the modules. Of course, we are talking always about the concept of self-learning. GSIC and all the projects related to training are based on self-learning, even if the support we offer to the user in terms of, or to the trainees, is always something we care a lot about. But of course, by now, everything what we are talking here are formats and methodologies of training based on self-learning. So the learning platform is, of course, based on open source tools, in this case Moodle, the most popular one. It's open also, as I said, we care a lot about the openness and the availability and accessibility of all the training material. And well, yes, this is something I will talk about later on, about the training material, about the variety and the formats about training material. We care a lot, and LinkBit has been a very, very important and good opportunity to learn a lot and discover which are the best methods and formats on deliver training material related not just to Inspire, but for other technical aspects related to Inspire. And LinkBit has been, as I said, a good opportunity to discover for each of the topics which is the most suitable way to deliver training material. Of course, as I said, we care a lot about user feedback, the interaction between the user and our platforms. So for this we use as much as possible tools that permit us to monitor and to have feedback from the users. This is actually something that links a lot with the Arena presentation and workshop this morning, where actually unfortunately I missed the second part, where I guess the user interaction with the platform Arena has been talked about. But in any case, we are more or less in the same plane. That means we are delivering training material, we are delivering a product, and we really want to know what the user is doing with our product and how to evaluate it, for example. This is how the learning platform looks like. This is a Moodle-based learning platform, and as you can see, it's structured between packages. All of the rows are based on a different package that coincides with a specific project. For each of the projects, a training package is available. That list basically means a list of modules, a catalog of training modules. But that means also that modules you can find in the different packages, you can find it in one or another. That means the module is done in the context of one project, for example, but then is used in the context of another one. as I said, openness is one of our main interests here. So the platform is open for to anyone. Of course, it's in the beginning of the project when the package and the modules are under development, open basically for the project members. But then it's open to the whole public. So anyone can subscribe not just to one package, but to all the material or all the packages. As I said, user interaction is also very important, so we care a lot about to know what our users are doing inside our platform and trying to have bit feedback or help or support to them in terms of, for example, creating user guides for the training material, feedback questionnaires about the quality of some training material, and so on. And at the end, let's go to the modules itself. This is, for example, the training package of SMESPIRE, one project that it's already finished, but that created a very good quality curricula of modules related to Inspire and basically devoted to be for the users in small and medium enterprises. But other packages, for example, the one related to Life Imager, are now under development, as the GeoSmart City one and the M+1, where some of the modules are already available. So we have already disseminated the fact that some of the modules developed in the context of this project are already available from the learning platform. And of course also the Linkbit modules that also form also a package of the whole thing. About the training formats, this is very interesting because, as I said, it is part of a methodology analysis made in the context of the project in terms to find the best way to deliver training material for different topics. For example, this is a normal presentation that in this case can be just seen from the learning platform as a normal presentation. For the Introduction to Inspire module, we have another format that is, for example, a normal presentation. We have this one, it's kind of very interesting. This is a presentation with voice, where there is behind this, as you can understand, a huge effort on making voice over the slides that enrich a lot the fruitability of the content itself, for example. Another format that is actually one of my favorite. It's to a web lecture. That means basically take into account what has been done in the context of a seminar, for example, and then wrap everything in a sort of video where you can find not just the slides, but in this case Danny making the course about Introduction to Inspire, so you can jump also from slide to slide. I mean, this is one of the best ways to deliver training material in this sense, and it's also a very good way to recycle, let me say, the content that has been done in the context of a seminar, for example. Other kind of resources are, of course, YouTube videos, and we have, in the context of SMESPIRE, developed some material in this sense. And this is, of course, the last one, that is exercise. We really want to offer, of course, when dealing with Inspire technical aspects, examples. That means the one that creates the modules deliver also not just text or slides, but also sample data, for example, in this sense. That is, as you can understand, a lot of important to provide to the trainee, not just methodologies about the data transformation, but of course exercise and sample data to, for example, exercise with different tools available for data transformation. The approach on licensing, it's very clear for the Linkbit project. We want to be open, and for this the CC by SA Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license has been chosen to ensure the maximum dissemination. And another part of the strategy is making the content as much as possible shareable, having the content also hosted on SlideShare and YouTube. This is just a wrap up about all the concepts. This is the last slide. about what has been said. We talked about webinars, for example, or training sessions that normally are some sources of training material, and that is where we can, for example, take into consideration the material from sessions and seminars to then create some slides or some videos that can be uploaded in a training and learning platform. Then for the training package, we can have access to a sort of site, as I said, where the user can have all the information about the catalog of modules, the metadata, and the learning paths. And at the end, in the training platform, the user is able to have access to different kinds of training material, like presentation, web lectures, video lectures, exercise, or questionnaires. So that's all. Thanks for your attention. If you have some question. Yeah.
Just one small question.
Thanks.
You mentioned the module, the training package on data transformation
Sure.
and examples. So what kind of examples do you include? Examples that are developed in the project?
Yeah, actually, yeah, of course, are examples based on some outcomes of the project. For example, for this specific example, we are dealing with examples of data transformation coming from the project M+, where coming from real data, coming from real pilots that are in the context of, I mean, one of the, of course, more important tasks on the pilot-based project like M+, it's the data transformation and data harmonization task before accessing the services promised by the platform. This is something Giacomo can also talk with you about, because he's the guy dealing with these aspects.
There are detailed examples with the administrative units, how to use the recursive part of the data model to deal with different levels.
And actually, these are arguments also that has been part of webinars and even a hackathon. So everything at the end, it's made as a training module that, of course, it's updated and enriched as soon as we have more information or more data.
What I think it would be extremely useful would be to have examples how to encode the common elements which will be in every data specification, in every data model, for instance in GML, because this will help everybody who will have to, who is dealing with transformation, not to reinvent the wheel, but to use the examples and to lead them in their transformation.
Yeah, that would be great. Actually, but try to cover all the data specifications in a...
Starting with the common elements,
yeah.
for instance, they are defined as base types, to have examples how you will encode Inspire ID, how you will encode geographical names, how you will encode coordinate reference systems, how you will encode other CI citations,
of course,
other types which are used in different data specifications, and would be extremely helpful because they are not in only one but in several. This would be my proposal. If you can go into this direction, I think
yeah, sure.
Of course, the training modules are related to the specific tools that we are using, so apart some generic aspect. Then in our case we are using Hail, so there are specific hints about how to use it.
Yeah, actually this is for me, at least personally, a very important aspect. The fact that we all know that, especially for data transformation, there is a lot of fragmentation out there. The user really knows that what the task need to perform, but don't know exactly which is the right tool to do it. And in a lot of situations, our intention is not to put more confusion there, just saying, yeah, you have a bunch of things, everything it's okay. Just better concentrate on something that we know, for example, that we have some very good experience on transforming data of this kind for this specific task, and provide support on that. Of course, it's not our work, let me say, to say this is better than that. But what we want to do is to provide good support on very specific tools, instead of saying, okay, there is everything there, just one, or something like that.
But anyway, the idea is that as soon as other transformations with other data specifications are mature and taken on board, we will produce some additional modules over also the specific aspects.
Good. Yeah, Robin.
Very quickly, because Danny's going to be...
Danny, it's worried. Danny is very, very worried.
Is there any self-assessment? There's a lot, I see all the steps that people go through in learning, And do they test themselves?
Yeah, actually this approach has been tested in the past in other projects. This kind of self-assessment to know exactly for the user, to know which is the starting point. This is something we actually want to also...
But for learning outcomes, so you have the learning objectives.
Yeah.
And have you learnt what you were meant to do?
Well, of course, this is a more mature learning approach. We are now in a phase where we are caring about the material and the update of the material itself. Everything makes relation about the interaction and caring about the users. So, of course, as soon as the material is solid and mature, we will care about the interaction of the user and the way the user can also self-assess, of course.
Maybe in addition, some of the modules are also available as face-to-face modules eventually. And in that case, you have more really tests of the knowledge. In some of it, some of the material has been done under EDU Serve, and there you have more in-depth testing of the knowledge of the students. So it can be done.
Okay.
That's not fair, but you are in a project, I'm not in eENVironmental.
Okay.
I'm not meeting as well.
Thank you very much for having the patience to stay till 6 o'clock after half an hour that was planning. So thanks again really for your pain. And I hope that this workshop give you good elements for looking at what is going around the Inspire. So this is our approach is just to coming from Inspire what we can do with a different type of application with Inspire. So you can see in EM Plus that we create that infrastructure. We can use that infrastructure already in 2 projects, creating knowledge about that. This is more or less our approach that will continue, hopefully, with other initiatives and so on. And everybody of you are interested to join this community are, well, of course, are welcome in different aspects. If you are thematic community, for example, in the coastal area, maybe you can look at Life Imagine, or in urban area you can see green energy or underground, or environment you can see EM+. So or just training you can see about a little bit. So that here there is material if you are interested. Thank again for coming here. So thank you. If somebody has not put his name, we are pleased to thanks. Oh, please help yourself. If you need also more for your colleague, you are welcome, of course.